On the western coast of Bretonnia lies the Dukedom of Aquitaine, traditionally one of the safest kingdoms in the entirety of the Old World. This feudal realm is famous for its arable farmland and conspicuous lack of hellish monstrosities, besides the peasants of course. But the beastmen, undead, and forces of chaos rarely venture here, so these rolling hills, small hamlets, and sandy shores enjoy a level of tranquility that is vanishingly uncommon in this part of the world. So naturally, the people manufacture their own conflicts, and over the years, Aquitaine has become synonymous with internal strife, consumed by civil wars and rebellion. The noble knights of this realm know only the language of violence, and when you're a well-fed, well-armed hammer, the unwashed masses start to look like a bunch of inconvenient nails. Let the battering begin! But wait, keeping the peasants in line is all well and good, and civil wars might keep your sword arm strong, but once in a generation comes an external threat so dire it cannot be ignored. Everything changed when the Chaos Nation attacked. The Herald of the Tempest brought with him a legion clad in black, and a savage storm followed in his wake. Armageddon approaches. The end times have come, and where Kholek Suneater marches, the winds will howl, the land will be scoured by thunder and lightning, and the tranquil Dukedom of Aquitaine will descend into chaos. Welcome, my friends, to the Siege of Aquitaine, a gorgeous chateau nestled near the western shores of the Old World. Normally, it's a sunny, happy time in this land of stunning vistas and peasant oppression, but today, Kholek Suneater and the forces of chaos have brought the rain. We're on the end times mod by the Duke, so different balance, some different units, and some model resizing should make it a slightly different experience than what you're used to. But the big reason it's different is that we've got more than 6,000 soldiers on this field, and a 4-pronged siege scenario on the way. So strap in, grab your snacks, because it's gonna be a good one. And the Knights of Bretonnia are already ready to sally out and get things popping off. Now, you don't see this very often, the whole early cav action thing, because unsupported cav in Warhammer typically doesn't perform very well. But it's a bit different in siege scenarios, where it's difficult to use elite knights and the choke points that characterize most custom maps. So, if they were to fight inside, they'd get poor charges, most of the unit wouldn't even be fighting, and they'd open themselves up to bombardment spells from Kholek and the rest of the Dragon Ogres, which isn't a very good idea. The Chaos Army here is split into 4, so if you can overload one side with all your knights, might be able to cause some serious carnage outside the walls. Not to mention it just kind of stuffs up the assault, right? Like, you've got towers firing in, you've got cow trebuchets on the way. Just make them think twice about coming towards that gate, and you've got a chance to get some really nice cycle charging in while the infantry isn't ready for it. Of course, there are Chaos Lancers nearby. I'll talk about them in a moment here. But beautiful charge right up the gut, smashing through the center of the Chaos forces, and they'll disengage immediately and hope to go somewhere else. Chaos Lancer's got a clean charge off, a bit sloppy from the Knights of Couronne. More fuel cav wheeling into position for a full surround on the Chaos Knights, and they might just get it. And already, the Rohirrim have activated their trap card. This early game aggression, it's fluffy, it's thematic, and they might just be able to lay a beatdown on this isolated wing. Now take a look as we move this into slow motion here. Look at the size differential between these Knights of Couronne and the Chaos Lancers. Those are legit nightmarish Clydesdales from the Netherrealm, and that is what I want to see in Warhammer 3. Now, they might be even bigger than some of you guys might have anticipated when you're talking about sizing up Chaos Knights. I don't care, dude. This is what a Chaos Steed should look like. This is the kind of apocalyptic mount that the riders of Armageddon should be riding into battle. That's what I want to see. It looks awesome. If modders can do it, CA can do it. Get it done. It looks amazing. They are so much more terrifying to behold in that kind of scenario. Now, sure, I don't know that they need to be quite that massive, but at the very least, a Chaos Charger should stand taller than even most monstrous cav in the trilogy. And a mount like Dorgar should absolutely be around that scale. Immediately makes their riders and the whole unit much more intimidating. Would love to see it in Warhammer 3. For now, Dragon Ogres have gotten a nice round off on the Knights of Couronne, and the Chaos Warriors moved all the way up to the edge of that moat under a withering salvo from Arbalest up top and the cannon towers. Remember, Bretonnia doesn't make use of gunpowder a lot, but on their caravels, on their ships, in their navies, and from their walls, they do occasionally use cannons. They do have some rudimentary gunpowder troops, so not that crazy, although they might even be launching trebuchet stones. I'm not sure. It's some combination of both, I believe. I know there are some rotten cows being flung across the battlefield. We'll point those out when we see them a little bit later on. But yeah, for the moment, Royal Hippogryph Knights going in, and so is a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, dropping the hammer on the Beast Slayers of Bastogne. They'll try and hold the line here, and Louen with a full surround off. Halberds nearby, bonus for large AP, and dropping all his buffs with Sword of Corone active. The Shaggoth will have a difficult time winning that kind of fight. That was a cow flung from the center. I believe only the central towers are firing the rotten carcasses of our bovine friends. Beastmen are mooing in frustration. Not a fan of that play. Maybe we'll see some of those flung from the battlements of Bretonnia's settlements once Torox the Brass Bull makes landfall. We'll see. Marauders have made landfall atop the ramparts, and Arbalests firing in. And it's a pretty brutal approach for the armies of the Chaos Gods. They've taken a bunch of damage out on this eastern side. Forsaken down to half HP, have the Mark of Khorne, additional speed, melee attack, frenzy, standard stuff that you'd see from any Mark of Khorne unit. And Forsaken with the Mark of Khorne, yeah, they've got some serious damage output. So the Shaggoth did overextend down to about 1/6 HP or so, and for now retreating outside the battlements and still calling down the Tempest. That is one thing you'll notice from all the Dragon Ogre troops in this battle. They have a major focus on lightning, and they'll be able to summon that whenever they're winning combat or whenever they're in melee in general. They'll be dropping lightning on their opponent's heads. So a lot of bombardment spells coming. I don't think it's single target or ground target bombardments. I think it's a random call down that you don't get to control. So you're seeing a bunch of that in this one. Chaos Chargers that did a great job dealing with the Knights of Corone and their sally out, now being shot down by crossbows, and they probably won't make it to the end of this battle. And you might be wondering why Bretonnian peasants are rocking crossbows at all. In the lore, traditionally, Bretonnia's feudal knights are not a huge fan of giving the commoners weapons that can pierce armor. You can see why that might be a bit of a threat to the current noble hegemony. And in fact, it's just like in our very own medieval history. Many of the religious and military figureheads outright campaigned to get them banned. I'm not 100% clear on how effective or widespread those bans are in Bretonnian lore, but I do know they exist in one form or another in earlier editions of Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Crossbows, for peasants, that is. In fact, I think they even had their own model, so it might have just been one of those retcons that happened over time. You'd have to ask the Duke, but for today, our headcanon is they had a secret stockpile for one of their upcoming peasant rebellions, and then Chaos showed up, threw a wrench in everybody's plans, and the Knights begrudgingly allowed it for this battle and this battle only. Here come the Royal Hippogryph Knights, the hammer and anvil on top the ramparts, smashing into the flank of these Chaos Marauders, and I don't think they'll be around for very much longer. I expect these Royal Hippogryph Knights to put in some serious work this battle. In siege scenarios, it's just much more difficult to shut them down. Flyers have an even bigger part to play because on a normal land battle, well, Cav can come in and support and tie them down and surround them and prevent them from taking off again at any point. Not so in a siege, not so when they're landing on top of walls and going from flank to flank. They can be anywhere, they can reinforce anywhere, makes them very powerful. Dragon Ogres charge into the Beast Slayers of Bastogne as well. Again, calling down more lightning, scouring the battlefield with the Tempest, but Beast Slayers of Bastogne still holding firm, down to slivers of HP at this point, but they've killed off some important units already. Shaggoth and Dragon Ogres have both taken a beating from those bonus first large halberds. Over on the eastern side, Grail Knights coming down the mountainside. Chaos, are you ready to die? The lance is finding their mark, and even though Grail Knights are bonus first infantry in the end times, they've got amazing stats, and with a clean charge like that one, Dragon Ogres don't have the armor, the melee defense, or the survivability to take something like that. They were already down pretty low from the crossbow shots, and that charge just pretty much put the nail in their coffin. Good night, sweet princes. They're running the wrong way. It looks like the Grail Knights lost one model, but they will take that to finish off an entire Dragon Ogre unit. Now, Chaos over on the western side has made some headway here. Siege towers have disembarked their foul loads onto the walls, and forsake foul loads. What the F? You guys are gross. Ew. Decidedly Slaneshi for an army that's mostly gone for Mark of Khorne on all of their units. Chosen, Forsaken, and Marauders coming off the siege towers, fully surrounded by peasants, but that's not really where peasants want to be. We're fully surrounding you, Chosen. And Chosen are like, well, now we can just attack in every single direction. So they should be able to establish a foothold without much fuss. Surrounded by peasants, it's like, I might as well be surrounded by feathers or downy pillows. Can you imagine being clad head to toe in chaos armor and someone's trying to stab you with a farm instrument, a pitchfork? Not gonna work. Maybe in real life, not in Warhammer Fantasy. That armor is a bit too above the pay grade of what peasants are capable of dealing with. The artillery outside these walls, though, has been fantastic for Bretonnia so far. You can see a lot of these forces have already been dropped down, and Kholek Suneater just showed up. It took one slam from Starcrusher to bust through the gate, and already he is in and amongst the peasants. Now, these are bonus for large armor-piercing polearm peasants, so I don't think Kholek will want to stick around in this fight for too long, but maybe drop a couple of these Storm Rages and then move on to greener and greater pastures. Oh man, this is disgusting. Every time he drops Starcrusher, everything around him just explodes. Seriously brings new meaning to the phrase dropping the hammer. And the crossbows up top have not turned around and begun firing into him. Yeah, I think Kholek's taking a little bit too much damage there. I think he needs some support from the infantry. Meanwhile, Marauders and the rest of the Chaos forces on the southern side of Aquitaine moving up. Siege towers have disembarked on the walls and they're all moving into position now. So it seems like he waited for Kholek and the forces on the southern side to commit. He staggered his attack, one, to probably make it easier to micro, but two, just to make it so that Bretonnia would pull some of their reinforcements and the reserves off into different locations, and then it opens the opportunity for Kholek to strike on this side, and they should be able to overwhelm Bretonnia pretty easily here. Not a fan of how much damage Kholek Suneater has already taken, but they have established the stronghold they want, and they're now moving in with all of their forces. It's been a good defense from Bretonnia so far. What started out as being maybe 2/3 in favor of Chaos at the start of the game, in terms of the balance of power anyway, has pulled back to maybe 3/5 or so? Not quite even yet, but Bretonnia is working on it, and they're causing some pretty serious casualties amongst the attackers. Over on this side, the western gate, the Summoners of Rage have made it into melee, and expect to see some lightning from them shortly as well. The cows are continuing to moo, continuing to rain down from above, and Kholek Suneater has made it all the way to the top of the battlements, and now he is dropping the hammer again on more and more peasant regiments, sending them flying off the walls. And the peasants are just completely left alone here. They have no knightly support. This was probably the king's gambit. He's like, there's a bunch of annoying peasants who want crossbows. Oh, we'll give them crossbows. We'll send them all the way to the southern ramparts and let them fight Kholek by themselves. See how much they like crossbows after that. They've dealt some damage, but yeah, they've been thrown to the wolves here. And there will be no help, no dawn for the men on this side. Chaos Warriors, Chosen, Kholek Suneater, and Dragon Ogres all teaming up. Oh man, that guy just went flying off the walls. They're all dead. No one has ever done that. No one has ever done that in the history of Warhammer. And the storm continues to rage on unabated. Look at all those Chaos forces. That is a serious problem that Bretonnia will have to deal with at some point. We'll see when they go for it, but the Grail Knights haven't done a whole lot so far. They've been kept in reserve. Royal Hippogryph Knights down to half HP. They have done a lot so far. But it seems like they want to kind of keep it high and tight in the center and maybe defend that final capture point. They realize the gates are gone, but in this central choke point, in this main plaza, looks like they might try to make a stand here. Right under the cow towers, not a bad idea. Foot Squires holding. Looks like some kind of polearm variant. And here come the Chosen Halberds. That is a big threat. Probably the biggest threat on the field to the Grail Knights and to Louen and his Royal Hippogryph Knights. They'll have to be very careful. Summoners of Rage, Dragon Ogres, and Kholek, of course, are also a problem. But those chosen halberdiers, if any of these elite Bretonnian knights take a bad engagement, if they get pinned down, they're in massive trouble when up against Mark of Khorne chosen halberds. Not fun for mounted troops to fight. And in fact, we got a glorious charge from the Grail Knights there. Just completely finished off the Summoners of Rage. More Chaos Chargers coming in from the western gate. Those massive Chaos Steeds pulled in tow. Kholek and the rest of the forces have just about finished up. There's a brave last stand from the men-at-arms on this side. Lightning barely missing them right over the top of the ramparts. But some of these guys will be flung to their deaths, and honestly, if I'm one of them, I'd probably think about just plummeting from the top myself. It's weird because the walls don't look that tall, but then you look at how small the models are next to them, and that might kill you falling off, or at the very least, break both your legs. But yeah, it's probably preferable to being eaten alive by Dragon Ogres or sliced in half by Forsaken Pincer Claw. So from that standpoint, I'm probably going over the edge if I have the choice. Mini ass, tiny ass looking Chaos Spawn. Huge regiments of them, actually. Interesting. I don't know the reasoning behind making them a much smaller model and giving many more models to them. Look much less like monstrous infantry and more like a bunch of mini munchkins. But they're leading a charge for the Marauders and the rest of the Chaos Lancers. And Chaos is beginning to move forward inexorably into the center of Aquitaine. Big charge coming in. Oh my lord, look at all that mass. Look at all that momentum. Violence. Speed. Getting smacked by cow carcasses. God, they're huge. They're so intimidating. I love that model. They look amazing. And they're munching through all that infantry on that side. But one thing you'll notice in the end times, projectiles have much faster speed. So the crossbows and the archers almost looks like gunfire coming in, which makes sense. I mean, if you fire a crossbow, you're going to have these weird looping arcs and super slow projectiles. It's fast. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of torque that goes into firing a crossbow. And when that projectile is let loose from your arbalest, it will reach its target very quickly. So I don't think they're AP. I think they've got base weapon or missile damage of around 33 or so. But arbalists have definitely been good here, firing to the unshielded side of Chaos Warriors and dealing a lot of damage even through the scaly skin of the Dragon Ogres and the Shaggas. King Louen does not want to be caught out by these Chaos Lancers. They have the mass, the violence, the speed, and the momentum to fully surround him and make him suffer. Royal Hippogryph Knights coming down. This is the most important engagement they've had all game long, and they're beginning to drop models. I believe they just lost their first. But these Hippogriffs, they've got the AP, they've got the stat line to hold back the tides of chaos for now, but not for long. Not with Kholek Suneater and the rest of those southern forces coming in. There are some Grail Knights that are chasing down Riders. They will need to come back because Chaos is about to get, they're about to get super heavy in the center. Louen taking 1/5 of his HP down from a single smash from Star Crusher. He's got 1,400 weapon damage, 1,725 right now AP with Star Crusher active. And he just sends an entire squadron of Bretonnian infantry flying through the streets of Aquitaine. It's untenable now. Bretonnia cannot hold that central plaza anymore. They pulled away. Royal Hippogryph Knights are on life support. King Louen is in good shape. Well, ish. He actually took a lot of damage in that fight as well, but he's a flyer and he has regen, so he might be alright. And Chaos is lining up for this final assault, and it may be too much for Bretonnia. We'll see. They've held well so far, but they've lost their cow tower, and how can you win any battle without cow towers? It's fallen to chaos, and the rotting cow carcasses are being flung in their general direction now. Not what they want, not what they need. How now, brown cow? Or plug these walls up with our bovine dead. Royal Hippogryph Knights back into the fray. Fighting Chosen. Those are not Chosen halberdiers, so they've got a better chance to do some damage while these guys are isolated, but still scary. I mean, Chosen have great stat line. So you can charge them, and you'll kill some of them. But it's still a painful engagement. Might have been worth it, though. That's a lot of damage value they just got. Might have lost 1 or 2 Hippogryphs, but almost killed off an entire unit. As the halberds come in, they realize they've overstayed their welcome. They need to make it back towards this main assault and get a rear charge into that. More lightning raining down from the heavens. The title wasn't lying, guy. Oh my god, look how big Kholek is. Look how big he is. I'm pretty sure his model also got a resize too. Chaos Lancers, their steeds got a resize. I'm pretty sure Kholek did as well. Look at how much bigger he is than even the regular Dragon Ogres. He's almost as tall as the buildings themselves. You can see over the walls of Prague in the lore. You can almost see over the walls of Aquitaine here. And now he's beating up on some Grail Knights, but here come the Royal Hippogryphs, and here comes King Louen Leoncoeur, the Lion, the Sword of Bretonnia, and its shield. With a rear charge, Kholek is surrounded by Grail Knights and all the most elite of their chivalrous nobles. Down to 900 HP, 766, and dropping, oh, 13, he's done. He's out of here. I'll give that flip an 8 out of 10. Solid effort, not bad at all, but he's out of the picture now, and that might cause some chain routing on the Chaos side. They don't have any heroes. They don't have any magic. It was all just the Herald of the Tempest himself and the Storm Rage he brings. So leadership might end up being a bit of an issue as we move into the later stages of this battle. At the same time, he has a lot of Chosen and a lot of Chaos Warriors, so they may be able to hold on where normal Marauders and the lower tier stuff for Chaos would not. But Balance Bar still in favor of the Dark Forces of the Ruinous Powers, but not by much. Bretonnia has crawled its one back. Grail Knights looking to go in. Royal Hippos, only 1 knight remaining. 337 kills, 3 chevrons earned. They've done great, but this might be the end of the road for the Hippos. Hungry, hungry, no longer. One of them falls, and Grail Knights, well, they turn tail and flee. Not to run away from the battlefield, but to maybe line up for some glorious hammer and anvils if they can get something to tie down all this infantry. Big charge on the Marauders. Not a bad idea. At this point, just stay on the periphery, get rid of what you can, make sure it can't come back, and do that enough. Take those minor victories, and you might be able to eke this one out. We're 20 minutes in. Battle is still very much in the balance, but Louen is very low. He will probably hang out in the air for a while if he doesn't get taken out by cow carcasses and just sit there and regen. But that will leave the rest of his infantry isolated, and all he has left are some dismounted knights. These also appear to have axes or some kind of polearm. And they're holding. They're holding strong against the Dragon Ogre charge. And they're healthy. They're pretty healthy. That's why you hold on to some elites in reserve. It might be enough. Grail Knights with their bonus versus infantry, it's only 5, but they have 95 melee attack. 114 melee attack, rather. 90 melee defense, 52 offense strength, 84 charge bonus. So they also have that charge helm ability that a lot of units have, a lot of cav units have in the end times, which means that their momentum is pretty potent when they smash into stuff on the charge. They're up to 211 kills now, but they're beginning to drop. Only 400 HP left, and fighting Chaos Warriors without support. It's an epic last stand. I'm not sure I agree with the play. I think he could probably run around, get to the other side of the city, come in and reinforce and try to get some hammer and anvils off. You want to hold on to whatever you can this far in. Those Grail Knights could end up being the difference, and I guess he wants to just stuff up all the warriors here so the dismounted knights on the street adjacent to them have enough time to rout everything, and they just did. And there's a ton of breaking on that side, so maybe it was worth, but I think you want to hold on to the Grail Knights as long as you possibly can. Meanwhile, King Louen is still regenerating up to 1700 HP, 65 kills. Grail Knights down to 3 models, making their last stand, and they show no signs of disengaging. They will find an honorable death here. But will that death be for naught? We'll find out soon enough. I think this battle is drawing to its close relatively soon. There's just not a lot on either side. 100 HP left in the Grail Knights, 89, 79, 69. Going down by 10 in increments. And another pig carcass doing some friendly fire damage. They're gonna break through. But you know what? I think a lot of this has been friendly fire. Let's watch the last stand of this Grail Knight, and then I'll explain what I mean by that. 1 kill for the final Grail Knight. 2 kills. Oh, what a majestic last stand. It's over. He's dead. His eyes glazing over. And the Grail Knights are out of the picture eternally now. But I think that there has been a sus conductor in that Moo Cow Tower. And I think he's been pretending to be on the Chaos side, but I'm pretty sure he was friendly firing the crap out of that Chaos regiment. The big squad, the big blob that was fighting the dismounted knights. See, they all got in that big block, right? They tried to push through. But with the way that hill is set up, the way this street is set up, I think those cow towers were just firing into the back of the Chaos forces, even though they were owned by Chaos. So I think they walked up to a peasant and said, "Hey, you're Chaos, right?" He's like, "Oh yeah, sure, totally, my dude." And kept shooting into the rear the whole time. I think that's why a lot of the Chaos forces are routing right now. I think there was some serious friendly fire from that tower. And that could change how this battle goes, because now all their infantry, which was looking relatively healthy only a couple minutes ago, is severely depleted, and most of it is just outright gone. I mean, most of it is just dead. Chaos Halberds with the Mark of Nurgle pop, trying to get some replenishment. I guess you can pop that while you're in melee. Louen is watching overhead. They're immune to Psych. That's important here. If King Louen decides to land, they will not terror route, and they are going to beat these dismounted knights. Unless they route first. They did. They're routing. Why are you routing? You're going to win combat. They're not routing. No, they chose to pull back and get some more support. Okay, that's not a terrible idea, I guess. Just waiting for a little bit more infantry. Oh, actually very smart. So he wants the Warriors of Chaos, the regular sword and board Chaos Warriors, to fight the infantry. And he's trying to preserve the halberds to deal with King Louen. That's a really good idea. That could be game-changing, but the balance bar is in favor of Bretonnia now. King Louen landing in a building. Bakis is like, where am I? Who am I, Gandalf? If I much desire to speak with him. Chaos Warriors falling to the AP from these dismounted knights, decapitating quite a few of their number. And now, with a rear strike here from King Louen, I think that they're gone. I think everything is about to break. It is. That's game. King Louen and Bakis with a final charge, causing a mass rout, and the Aspiring Champions and Chosen of the Dark Gods are gone. After Kholek died, after Dragon Ogres died, they lost their support, they lost their ability to deal with King Louen and his cycle charging, and it was a little bit too much in the end game, but I really think a lot of that came down to the friendly fire from the Cow Tower. I think they had enough infantry to win that game. I mean, they had tons and tons of troops left for that final assault. We looked away to see the Grail Knights fight and the Royal Hippogryph fights for a little bit, and came back and just mass routing. Those dismounted knights did not do all that by themselves. Those cows were a big problem, and it makes sense because it is a Bretonnian tower, but after Chaos captures it, I'm sure they're thinking, oh, we've got this in the bag, and then just end up getting blasted by their own tower for a good 2 minutes, and they lost a lot of numbers in that time frame. So really impressive showing from the Royal Hippogryph Knights and the Grail Knights, both of them earning 3 chevrons, each over 200 kills. In fact, the Hippos got over 300, 337 to be exact. King Louen was a beast this game for sure, he always is. Those flyers in siege scenarios are fantastic. Kholek, I wish he hadn't gone directly into the halberds, the men-at-arms polearms. I think he could have probably avoided that. Just charge it once, drop a lightning, run away, go fight something else. Took a little bit too much damage there, and having him for the late game to deal with King Louen would have probably changed how this battle went. But the Chaos Knights were awesome. Summoners of Rage were fun to watch, and it was a very explosive lightning type of battle. Really enjoyed it. Hope you guys did as well, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.